Okay, so good evening everyone. Last class we had discussed about the foreign key attribute, and then we discussed about the wildcards, and then we discussed about the aggregate functions in our MS SQL in this case. Today we will be covering two concepts in this. One is a very small class called as group by antale. That is one more condition that is generally used in our database operations, and after that we are concentrating on one of the most important concept, that is the stored procedures. So these are the two concepts what we will be covering in the today's class. Now to start with, before starting with the concept of aggregate before starting with the concept of, just a minute. Okay, so before starting with the concept of group by or having class, we need to know some situations. After that we will be discussing, you will get to know why we need this group by condition in our query in this case. Now let us we have last class we had created a additional table TBL fees, where I will be having all the details of the students who has paid the fees in this case. Okay, so let me retrieve that data first. Okay, so student is my database. In that last class we had created the one table TBL MST TBL fees details. So let me display that data to you once. Okay, so I have my query part. I'll write a query, select star from TBL fees details, and execute this, and you will see all the students who have paid the fees in this case. Now here we have the details of the student, that is student ID. Okay, so student ID basis, if I retrieve the data, like I want to retrieve the data of the student whose ID is 9. So what I will do is select star from TBL fees details, where student ID equal to 9. So if I execute this SID equal to 9, it will give me the information of the student who has paid the fees, that is total fees what he has paid in this case. Now suppose if I want to know, he has paid 3,000 two times in this. So instead of showing like this, I want it to show me 9,000 rupees, 6,000 rupees in this. That is, he should automatically add the total fees paid by the student, and it should display me the result in this case. So for that, as I discussed in the previous class, there is a function called as sum, open bracket, mention the name of the column to which you want to perform the addition, that is fees paid, close of this, and I have said where condition SID equal to 9. So let me execute this. It is showing me 6,000. So only, of course, we need a change. I mean, if you need to have a change of the column name, I will say total fees paid. So when I execute this, it is showing me the total fees paid. Now the point is, total fees paid by whom? Now here, if I am retrieving only one data, that is fine. If I want to retrieve for each and every student in that particular table, okay, so I need to skip the where condition, because I have told where SID equal to 9 means it will bring only the details of the student with SID 9 in this. If I delete it and execute the same query, it will give me the total sum in this case, which I don't want, because what I want here is the first point, select star from TBL fees details. So nange ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೆಂಗ್ ಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ student ID 1, he has paid 5,000 and 3,000, so it should be SID 8,000. Next, student ID 3, he has paid only 4,000. Student ID 6, only one time 5,000. Student ID 7, only one time 3,000. Student 8, he has paid 3000 and 3000 two times, so it should show me student ID 8 and the amount is 6000, student ID 9, the amount is 6000. So here I need to display the ID of the student, and beside that I need to have the total sum in this case. So what I will do is, sir, it is very simple. Call the sum function because it will add, and here I will put SID, comma, sum of fees paid as total fees from TBL student. And when I execute this, it will give me an error in this case. Why? The reason is very simple, because you cannot use the column names with aggregate functions directly. Okay, illenagada nan requirement is I need to use an aggregate function along with the column names, andre just column name directly followed by the aggregate function. In this case, you use any function, sum, average, count, whatever the function you want to use, you cannot have the column names, direct columns with aggregate functions. Okay, sir, can I use aggregate function with aggregate function? You can try that. You will get the output in this. Like if I want to say SID bracket open bracket close, and let me execute that, and here also he says I cannot have this, it is count. I'm using a count SID, and let me execute this. Yes, it is giving me the result in this case. But the point is, if I put SID and SID followed by the sum, which is the query I have written here, execute this, it will give me an error. So point is very clear, you cannot have aggregate functions along with the attribute names in this case. So what I have to do for that? It is very simple. It is very simple. Whenever you want to have this kind of a situation, you have to use, after specifying everything, select star from table name, after table name, after your where condition. So the query syntax is something like this. It is select say aggregate function, whichever function you are using there, column name, comma, column 2, comma, column 3, whatever it is, from table name. Use the where condition also, which is again optional, it is not compulsory. After this, they tell use one more condition, one more clause. We cannot say condition, it is a constraint. So one more constraint or clause saying group by. Okay, use the keyword group by. Don't get confused with the order by and group by. Order by is used just to retrieve the data or display the data in ascending or descending order. Group by is used whenever we want to have aggregate functions along with the column names. So group by followed by column 2, comma, column 3, comma, and so on. So how many ever columns you are mentioning in the select query ಒಳಗ ಎಷ್ಟು ಕಾಲಮ್ ನೇಮ್ಸ್ಗಳು ನೀವು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮೆನ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕತ್ತೀರಿ, ಆ ಅಷ್ಟು ಕಾಲಮ್ ನೇಮ್ಸ್ಗಳು ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಮೆನ್ಷನ್ ಇಟ್ ಇನ್ಸೈಡ್ ದ inside the group by condition in this case. Now just a minute, there is some issue with one more student. Okay, so as I told you, ಈ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಬೈ ಅಂತನೋ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ ನಾವು ಯಾವಾಗ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ whenever we have the aggregate function to be used along with the attribute names, ಆ ಟೈಮಿಗೆ it will give a error. So for that reason we ಎಲ್ಲ conditions ಅಂದರೆ where condition ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ you have to mention group by followed by whatever the column names you have mentioned in the select part. ಆ select query ಒಳಗ select part ನಾಗ ಏನೇನು column names mention ಮಾಡಿರ್ತೀರಿ, skip this one. Okay, skip whatever you have given inside the aggregate function. Apart from that, whatever the other attributes you have, mention those attributes in this particular location. That is group by anta word use madkondu add madre. So what it will happen in this case? Very simple. So this is the query. I'll delete one. From admela, I don't want any where condition. I'll directly give group by followed by the column name is SID. Okay. So SID is only one column I am using. Select madre, execute this. Now you can see SID 1 has paid 8,000, SID 3 has paid 4,000, SID 6 has paid 5,000, SID 9 and 8 have paid 6,000 total in this case. So ಮೊದಲು ಏನಾಗಲಿತ್ತು 3,000 split ಆಗಲಿತ್ತು, but now it has aggregated it and it has displayed me the total value in this case. ಈಗ next ನೀವು ಅನ್ಬೋದು, sir I need to retrieve the fees receipt ID. So fees receipt ID ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ it is I think FID is what I have taken in this. Let me check it. It is fees ID. Okay. So now what I will do, I will put fees ID here, comma, same way this should also be put by after the group by. So group by ಒಳಗೂ fees ID ಅಂತ add ಮಾಡ್ರಿ. And now I think he got connected. Okay, so now I have taken group by SID, comma, fees ID. Now select it, execute. Now you can see the fees ID is displayed. But problem ಏನಾಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, you have to see on the other side, the SID is split again. The total fees paid is also split in this case. ಅವಾಗ ನನಗೆ SID 9 ಅಂತ ನನಗೆ it was showing me 6,000, but now it is again showing SID 9 2 times, SID 8 2 times, SID 1 2 times. Now what is the reason, sir? Why previously it was executing? That is when I had not used the FID. I did not use the fees ID in this. So when I execute this query, it is showing me the aggregated value, that is total fees paid. But when I execute it with fees ID, why it is splitting back? The reason is simple. When you execute the aggregate functions with the column name, suppose if the column name values differ, ಈಗ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡ್ರಿ SID for student ID 1, fees ID ಒಂದು ಕೇಸ್ನಾಗ 1 ಅದ, second time SID 1 but fees ID is 4. So in such case the aggregate function, the group by condition will not work. Understand this point very clearly. I will repeat it once again. ಇಲ್ಲೇನಾಗ್ತದ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ವೆರಿ ಒಳಗ when I executed this query, ಇಲ್ಲೇನಾಯಿತು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ okay, let me, you remember both the outputs in this. Okay, now what is the difference here? The difference is actual table na ಹೆಂಗಂತಂದ್ರೆ SID 1 5,000, then SID 1 3,000 ಅಂತದ. So SID and SID here is both same. Group by ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, group by ನಾವು SID ಅಂತ ಕೊಟ್ಟಾಗ SID same ಇತ್ತು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ then he will add these values, that is sum of fees paid will be added in this case. Okay, so ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ರಿಸಲ್ಟ್ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಬಂತು, SID was ಎರಡೂ ಕೇಸ್ನ SID 1 ಕಾಮನ್ ಇತ್ತು, so he added the total fees. SID 3 of course there was only one student, then we got SID 4 ಇಲ್ಲ 5 ಇಲ್ಲ 6 is again 1, SID 7 is again 1, but SID 8 ಬಂದಾಗ there are two SIDs having same SID value. So what he did was, ಇಲ್ಲಿನ 3,000 add ಮಾಡಿ SID 8 he gave 6,000 in this. ಆದ್ರೆ SID 9 ಬಂದಾಗ same thing happened. SID 9 the values was 3,000, so he aggregated it to 6,000, and this was the result of the first query and it executed perfectly fine. But second case ನಾಗ ಏನಾಗ್ತದ, when he sees the FID, fees ID and SID, he will see the table in this. So SID 1 5,000 fine, SID 1 3,000 fine, but since you have already mentioned fees ID and you have told it should be grouped by fees ID, but fees ID is different for the first case, and for the same student in the second case the fees ID is same. is different. So ಯಾವಾಗ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಕಾಲಮ್ನಾಗಿಂದ ಅಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಟ್ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಕಾಲಮ್ನಿಂದ ಅಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಟ್ ಡಿಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ಬರ್ತದೆ, he will not add the sum function. So aggregate function ಏನಿತ್ತು, that aggregate function did not execute. The reason was the fees ID in this case. So for that reason you got a split value in case of the second query. Okay sir, suppose if I need instead of the ID I need the name of the student. Name of the student antandhaga fees is in TBL fees details, name is in TBL MST TBL fees. So we have to make use of the inner join concept in this case. So inner join concept use ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು we can retrieve those data, and of course allೂ ನಾವು group by use ಮಾಡ್ಕೋತೀವಿ. How? It is very simple. I'll write the query, select, I need the name of the student. So TBL student, let me take the name of the column. The name of the column is student name. So I'll put ts dot student name, comma, I don't need his mobile number, email ID is also not required. I just need the name of the student, and you can take his ID also in this. So ts dot sid, comma, next is sum of tf dot fees paid as total fees athwa amount paid. I'll put it in this way, from TBL student ts inner join TBL fees details tf on, the condition is ts dot sid equal to tf dot sid, the primary key and foreign key of those two attributes. New suppose aggregate function use ಮಾಡಿ, if you have not mentioned the column names it will give you an error in this case. So if I execute this it will give me an error. So ಅದಕ್ಕೆ compulsory group by followed by the name of those columns, that is ts dot student name, comma, ts dot sid. Make it change as ts, and now execute the output in this case, and now you will get the name of the students, SID, and their total sum, aggregated sum. Yaka antandra SID 1 he has paid fees 2 times, but the column I have taken here is name. So SID 1 is fees ID bare idrunu name antru same irthude for SID 1. For that reason there is only one name for Sachin, one SID, and total fees has been added in this. ಇದ್ರಾಗ ಮತ್ತೆ ನಾ FID fees ID add ಮಾಡಿದೆ ಅಥವಾ date add ಮಾಡಿದೆ, like when he has paid the fees. If I want to retrieve that, again dates, if he has paid the fees on 2 different dates, again it has to split. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಅವ 3000 5000 ಒಂದ್ಸತಿ one date pay ಮಾಡ್ಯಾನ, 3000 ಇನ್ನೊಂದು date pay ಮಾಡ್ಯಾನ. So I cannot add those dates in this. So date is a different value, the values are different, means automatically it will split the value in this case. So ಈ ರೀತಿಯೊಳಗ ಈ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಬೈ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನೋ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ ನಾವು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋತೀವಿ. ಯಾವಾಗ it is when we need to have the aggregate functions along with the column names. ಆ ಟೈಮಿಗೆ we make use of the group by condition in this case. And of course you have many examples where we will be using this group by condition in our queries in this case. So that is about a very small simple and easy concept in this group by antanodu. Remember, in one word, why do we use a group by condition? It is whenever we need to have the aggregate function and the column name in the output, or when you are retrieving the data you need to have the attribute name as well as the aggregate functions. The group by condition is used in this case. Okay, so these are some of the way of writing the queries in the MS SQL in this case. Now whatever the queries we write here, generally sometimes what happens is one day query we have to call it multiple times. So in that case every time writing the whole query again and again is not a suitable point in this case. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ parameters may mismatch, or you may write some extra parameters in this case. You may make mistake in the insert query in this case. So ಈ ಟೈಪ್ ಮಿಸ್ಟೇಕ್ ಮಾಡೋ ಚಾನ್ಸಸ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ನಿಮ್ದು. ಸೊ ಹಂಗೆ ಆಗಬಾರ್ದು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ವಿ ಇನ್ ದ ಡೇಟಾಬೇಸ್ ಆರ್ ಇನ್ ದ MS SQL has introduced one very important concept called as stored procedures. So stored procedure. Now what is a procedure? Procedure is nothing but, in simple words, it is a function. A function where you can write multiple queries and execute all of them at once. Because there are many cases where you need to write multiple queries together. ಎಲ್ಲ ಕ್ವೆರೀಸು ಒಂದೇ ಸರ್ತಿ ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಟ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲಿ ಒಂದು ಕ್ವೆರಿ ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡೋ ಬದಲು ನಾ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಆಲ್ ದೀಸ್ ಕ್ವೆರೀಸ್ I will put it inside one function, or we call it as procedure, and then we execute the procedure in this case. Okay, so that is one point. So whenever we have multiple queries to be executed, ella queries na ondrolaga haki adanna execute ಮಾಡ್ರಿ. That is first point. Second most important, why I need to have the stored procedure is, there is something called as SQL injection attack ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಸೊ SQL injection attack ಅಂತ ಬಂದಾಗ, then the writing a direct single query, ಅಂದರೆ ಈಗ ನೀವು ಇನ್ಸರ್ಟ್ ಇಂಟು ಅಂತ ಏನು ಟೇಬಲ್ ನೇಮ್ ಬರೆದು ಇನ್ಸರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿರಿ ಡೇಟಾ, ಆ ಟೈಪ್ನ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ನೀವು ಇನ್ಸರ್ಟ್ ಕ್ವೆರಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಈ ಪ್ರೊಸೀಜರ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಲಾರ್ದೆ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ನಾಗ ಡಿಫೈನ್ ಮಾಡಲಾರ್ದೇ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಟ್ ದ ಕ್ವೆರಿ, ದೆನ್ ಸಚ್ ಕ್ವೆರೀಸ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಮ್ಯಾನಿಪುಲೇಟೆಡ್ by the outsiders. Adu with only in the back end I cannot explain you how exactly it works. Probably when we start with the database connectivity ADO.NET anta ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, that time I will show you one example like how it can be affected in this case. Okay, so that we will see in the later part, but for the time being remember stored procedure mainly ಎದಕ್ಕೆ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, one thing is whenever we want to have multiple operations to be executed at once, we make use of the stored procedure in this. Second point, when to use the stored procedure is whenever we want to avoid this SQL injection attacks, we make use of the stored procedure. That is second. Third thing, compared to executing single instruction, prati sarti ಒಂದೇ ಒಂದು ಇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಪುಟ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ದಮ್ ಇನ್ಸೈಡ್ ದ ಸ್ಟೋರ್ಡ್ ಪ್ರೊಸೀಜರ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಮಚ್ ಫಾಸ್ಟರ್ ಇನ್ ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಷನ್. ಸೊ ಸ್ಟೋರ್ಡ್ ಪ್ರೊಸೀಜರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಟ್ಸ್ ಮಚ್ ಫಾಸ್ಟರ್ ಕಂಪೇರ್ಡ್ ಟು ದ ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಸಿಂಗಲ್ ಲೈನ್ ಕ್ವೆರೀಸ್ ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಕೇಸ್. ಸೊ ಅದ್ರ ಸಲುವಾಗ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಮೇಕ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಸ್ಟೋರ್ಡ್ ಪ್ರೊಸೀಜರ್ ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್. ಸರ್, how do we write the stored procedure and where do we have to write the stored procedure? Very simple. ನೀವೇನು ಇನ್ಸರ್ಟ್ ಕ್ವೆರೀಸ್ ಬರ್ದೀವಿ ನಾವು, ಅದೇ ಇನ್ಸರ್ಟ್ ಕ್ವೆರಿ ಇನ್ಸರ್ಟ್ ಅಪ್ಡೇಟ್ ಡಿಲೀಟ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಸೆಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಲ್ ದ 4 ಕ್ವೆರೀಸ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಟೆಡ್ ಇನ್ಸೈಡ್ ದ ಸ್ಟೋರ್ಡ್ ಪ್ರೊಸೀಜರ್ ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್. ಸೊ ಅದ್ರ ಸಲುವಾಗಿ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಲೆಫ್ಟ್ ವಿಂಡೋ ವಿಚ್ ವಿ ಕಾಲ್ ಇಟ್ ಆಸ್ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೋರರ್, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಒನ್ ಮೋರ್ ಫೋಲ್ಡರ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಫೋಲ್ಡರ್ ಅದು. ಈ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಮೇಲೆ ರೈಟ್ ಕ್ಲಿಕ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ open that programmability folder in this case. Here you will find one more folder called as stored procedure. A stored procedure mala right click madre and then select new stored procedure and click on this. So it will show you some complicated lengthy statement in this. Let us not bother about this particular thing. I'll delete it. Okay, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಬಹಳ complicated syntax they have given for defining the stored procedure. I will show you the simple stored procedure. A stored procedure ಏನಂತಂದ್ರೆ, I need to retrieve all the data from TBL MST course. Simple. MST course ನಾಗಿಂದ ನಂಗೆ ಡೇಟಾ ರಿಟ್ರೀವ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗ್ಯದ, not directly by writing select star from table name, but it should be through the stored procedure in this case. How do we write it? Very simple. First ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ stored procedure syntax ಹೆಂಗೆ ಆಗ್ತದೆ, it is create stored procedure. you make use of any database software, whether it is MS SQL or MySQL, Oracle, Postgres, elladrolagu the syntax remains same with hardly 1 or 2 letters difference in this case. Okay, so the syntax is create stored procedure, all 3 are keywords in this, followed by procedure name. I'll call it as SP name ante ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ, that is stored procedure name in this case. Then these 2 brackets are optional. Suppose if the stored procedure you need to give some inputs, we put those brackets. If you don't want to pass any values, you can skip that in this case. Next line naga we make use of a keyword called as, and then you write whatever query you want to have in this case. So here we mention the query or queries. As I told you, you can execute multiple queries in this case. So avaga ಅಲ್ಲಿ queries ಅನ್ನು ಹಾಕೋಬಹುದು. And ಲಾಸ್ಟಿಗೆ the stored procedure is terminated by end. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ as ಮತ್ತೆ end ನಡು ನೀವು ಎಷ್ಟು queries at a time execute ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕಂತ ಮಾಡಿರಿ, you can execute those queries in this. This is one simple syntax for executing the query. Okay, now let us put this into a query format and under actual stored procedure format bariyana. So what I will do is create stored procedure. I will say sp underscore get underscore course. So ಅಲ್ಲಿ SP is generally ಹೆಂಗೆ ಟೇಬಲ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ TBL ಅಂತ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. Stored procedure is usually identified by SP in this case. And then what operation you are doing? Are you storing the data or retrieving the data or updating the data or deleting the data? ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವಿಲ್ಲಿ ಮೆನ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ. So here if I want to retrieve the data, I'll use get. If I want to store a data, I will give add ಅಥವಾ INS insert ಅಂತ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ. If I am deleting the data, I will say DEL. Instead, if I am updating the data, I will say UPD. These are some standards that are followed in the companies in this case. So it is like when I want to execute select query, I make use of get in the middle. If I want to insert andre insert into table name use ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ I will use INS. If I am deleting the data, I make use of DEL, and if I am updating the data, I will make use of UPD. So ಈ ರೀತಿಯೊಳಗ ನಾವು ಕೀವರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಈ ಸ್ಟೋರ್ಡ್ ಪ್ರೊಸೀಜರ್ what exactly the stored procedure is working for, ಅಥವಾ for what reason I am using this particular stored procedure I mentioned there. And ಲಾಸ್ಟಿಗೆ ನೀವು ಯಾವ ಟೇಬಲ್ನಾಗಿಂದ ಡೇಟಾ ತೊಗೊಂಡು ಬರ್ಲಿಕ್ಕತ್ತೀರಿ ಅಥವಾ ಡಿಲೀಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕತ್ತೀರಿ, ಆನ್ ವಿಚ್ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಟೇಬಲ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಪರ್ಫಾರ್ಮಿಂಗ್ ದ ಆಪರೇಷನ್, ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಮೆನ್ಷನ್ ದಟ್ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಟೇಬಲ್ ನೇಮ್ ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್. ಅಫ್ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು MST ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡೀನಿ. ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೀಪ್ SP get underscore MST course. So I am performing get operation on MST course table. That is how we understand in this case. And then write as keyword, and then I will write select star from TBL MST course. That's it. We'll keep only this much, semicolon, and then at the end mention the end keyword. Okay, so ನೀವೇ ಸೇಮ್ ಏನು ಕ್ವೆರಿ ಇತ್ತು ಅದೇ ಕ್ವೆರಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕತ್ತೀನಿ, ಬಟ್ ದಟ್ ಕ್ವೆರಿ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಬೀನ್ ಪುಟ್ ಇನ್ಸೈಡ್ ದ stored procedure. That's it. And I've told you what is the reason for putting that inside the stored procedure in this case. Now let me copy this and put it on the same screen. ಇದು ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅದನ್ನೇ ಇಲ್ಲ ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋರಿ. ಓಕೆ, STORD create, sorry, it is create stored procedure. It's only create procedure in this case, and you can have a semicolon in the last, optional, even that is not required in this case. So create stored procedure la, it is only create procedure. Let me change this. Usually we are used to stored procedure word, so it is like this. So create procedure anta. So let me select the whole query now, whole procedure now. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಎರಡು ಆಪ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಅವ. Till now I had not shown you. One is called as parse and second is called as execute. Now I want to compile this particular query to know whether it is correct or not. ಅಥವಾ ಏನಾರ ಮಿಸ್ಟೇಕ್ ಇತ್ತು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಆ ಮಿಸ್ಟೇಕ್ಸ್ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಲೈಕ್ ವಾಟ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಡನ್ ಇನ್ ಯರ್ C++ ಆ ಟರ್ಬೋ ಸಿ ಒಳಗೆ ಕಂಪೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದು. The same way here I want to compile this particular query and check if there are any errors. If there are no errors, then I want to execute the query. So for that you have to go for an option called as parse. So let me click on parse. It says there is a problem with the end. Okay, you can delete the end also in this case, not an issue. Let me compile this now. So when I compile this, it is showing me command completed successfully. So command completed successfully means there is no error in the program, but I have not executed the query. So other salvaga you can go for execute and he says command completed successfully. Now actually the query is executed, I mean the procedure is executed and the stored procedure is created. So you can open this and here you will get the option sp_get_mst course. Now sir, fine, how to execute this query? Very simple. If you want to execute the query, you can open a new query window and here the one simple method is you can make use of exec, that is execute, followed by the name of the stored procedure. Name of the stored procedure is sp_ it is get_mst course. So this is my stored procedure. Select madre, execute madre. Now it is showing me the data in this case. So now one sartiya procedure barditri antandra I need not write the whole query every time. I just need to use the name that is given to the procedure. So anyone who wants to retrieve the data anywhere in the program, whichever page they are using, ellaru enantandra just they have to mention the name. Select star from MST course is not required. Okay, so ee reetiyolaga we can create one query and we can execute the query in this case. ಈಗ ಒಂದು ಮಿಸ್ಟೇಕ್ we did was, sir soft delete equal to 0 ಅಂತ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಿ. So where is that? Of course I have not mentioned here. So I need to modify this particular query. ಆ modify ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ನನಗೆ ಬರೀ ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ID ಡಿಸ್ಪ್ಲೇ ಆಗಬೇಕು, course name display ಆಗಬೇಕು and created by should be displayed. Soft delete should not be displayed. Okay, so I need to modify the three conditions, the attribute names and one condition, that is soft delete should be 0 in this case. So you modify hang ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. Very simple. Right click on the same procedure, you will have an option called as modify. So click on modify, it will open the query and here you make whatever the changes you want to have in this case. Illi ella same alter procedure ant kotirtana, don't change anything, just to change the query part in this. So query part naga I will say where soft delete equal to 0, because as I told you a soft delete concept explain madidde. And second thing is I don't want star there, I need to have those column names. So column names beku andaga, that is course ID, comma course name, comma created by. So whatever the change I wanted, I have made those changes. After making the change, execute ಅಥವಾ ಒಂದ್ಸತಿ ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋರಿ and he says command completed successfully, there is no issue. Now click on execute and it will say command completed successfully. Complete ಆದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಇದನ್ನು ಕ್ಲೋಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ರಿ, because that is not required after executing it. It's better you close it in this. Now let me execute the same query. Execute. Now you can see soft delete antano column bandilla and he has mentioned those 3 columns which has been retrieved in this. Ee reetiyolaga you can write a query, a very simple method to create a query and perform the operation in this case. I hope this create procedure is clear, because ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ನಿಮಗೆ 4 ಆಪರೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ತೋರಿಸ್ತೀನಿ. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ insert, update, delete and select. All the 4 queries is what we will be executing here. Okay, next ಈಗ ಇದು retrieve ಮಾಡೋದಾಯಿತು. Next is, sir, I want to delete a particular course ಅಥವಾ okay, we will do the insert part in this. Insert ಮಾಡೋಣ, or we will go for a delete operation first. Sir, I want to delete a particular column ಅಥವಾ I want to delete a particular row in the TBL MST course. Of course, delete ಅಂದ್ರೆ soft delete ಮಾಡೋದು ನನಗೆ, where I want to delete say MCA course. MCA ಕೋರ್ಸನ್ನು ನಾನು ಡಿಲೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. How I can do it using a stored procedure? Very simple. As I told you, you can execute, you can write a stored procedure here only. That is, create procedure and then name of the procedure. So ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದೆ ನಿಮಗೆ, first standard is SP, followed by I am performing the delete operation on MST course. Okay, and then ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾ ಯಾವಾಗ ಡಿಲೀಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಂತ ಮಾಡೀನಿ, I have to mention the name of the column. ಅಂದ್ರೆ when I'm executing this particular query, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮ್ಯಾಲೆ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಕಾಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೆ ಆ ಟೈಪ್ ಕ್ವೆರಿ ಕಾಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. I will give the name of the course, okay, that I want to delete MCA. It should delete that particular data. So ಅವಾಗ I need to pass a parameter to the procedure. ಸೊ ನೀವು ಯಾವಾಗ ಅದು ಈ ಪ್ರೊಸೀಜರ್ಗೆ ಪ್ಯಾರಾಮೀಟರ್ ಪಾಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗ್ಯದ, ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಮೇಕ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಕಂಪಲ್ಸರಿ ಎಟ್ ಸಿಂಬಾಲ್. ಈ ಎಟ್ ಸಿಂಬಾಲ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರಿ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಇಟ್ ಇಂಡಿಕೇಟ್ಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ ವೇರಿಯಬಲ್. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದೆನ್ ಫಾಲೋಡ್ ಬೈ ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಸೇ ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ನೇಮ್. ಸೊ ಹಿ ಟೋಲ್ಡ್ ಮಿ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಗಿವ್ ಮಿ ದ ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ನೇಮ್, ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಡಿಲೀಟ್ ದಟ್ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಕೋರ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ನಾನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಒಂದು ವೇರಿಯಬಲ್ ಡಿಕ್ಲೇರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋತೀನಿ called as course name. Sir, ಇದು ವೇರಿಯಬಲ್ ಅಂತ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ಐ ಆಮ್ ಯೂಸಿಂಗ್ ಅ at symbol. Whenever you use a at symbol means it is a variable. And then you have to mention the data type of this particular variable in this. So adaka I have varchar of 50, that is a data type for the course name. And then as usual as keyword, and then now I need to write a soft delete query. Soft delete ಅಂತ ನಾನು ನಿಮಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೆ, ಅಪ್ಡೇಟ್ಗೆ ನಾವು ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ ಡಿಲೀಟ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಡೂ ಇಸ್ ಅಪ್ಡೇಟ್ TBL MST course set soft delete equal to 1, where course name equal to, I need to use this variable name which is having the name of the course in this place. So now I am martini, I will copy paste it. I'll copy this and paste it here. So what I have done is a very simple operation. I have used update TBL course set soft delete equal to 1, where course name equal to the name of the course name which is passed as a parameter in this case. One still is showing the red line, I think because of him. Okay, yes, and then again the optional part, that is end. So ishbardu, you can select it, check with any errors. Yes, because of again end munde use marti, I'll tell you when. Select madre, now you can compile this, yes, and now execute. So now it is executed. Sir, aವಾಗ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ವೆನ್ ಯು ಕಾಲ್ ದಟ್ ಗೆಟ್ MST ಕೋರ್ಸ್, ಆ ಟೈಮಿಗೆ ಯಾವುದು ಪ್ಯಾರಾಮೀಟರ್ ಪಾಸ್ ಮಾಡಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಬಟ್ ನಾವು ಯು ಆರ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಪಾಸಿಂಗ್ ದ ಪ್ಯಾರಾಮೀಟರ್. ಸೊ ಈಗ ನೀವು ಹೆಂಗೆ ಕಾಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ? ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಸಿಂಪಲ್. ನಾ ಪ್ರೊಸೀಜರ್ ಕಾಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಅಗೇನ್ ಸೇಮ್ EXEC ಅಂತ ಮೆನ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ದೆನ್ ದ ನೇಮ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಪ್ರೊಸೀಜರ್. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ SP_DEL _MST course. Okay, and then to pass the parameter, use the same name, that is at course name equal to single quotation naga give the name of the course, like which course you want to delete in this case. Okay, so e course name equal to MCA will become a parameter, and that will be given to this procedure, and he will make the modification. So now let us see how this executes. Select madre, just compile it once, no error, execute it once. He says one row affected. So that means one row affected antandra the course has been deleted. Now how to check that? Execute the another stored procedure which we have for retrieving the data. So retrieve madlike we had written just one more stored procedure, sp underscore get underscore mst course, without any parameters in this case. Now let me execute this, and you can see here MSc is not being displayed. ಯಾಕಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನಾ ಯಾವಾಗಿದು ಸ್ಟೋರ್ಡ್ ಪ್ರೊಸೀಜರ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೆ, there I had told that select course ID comma course name from comma created by from TBL MST course where soft delete equal to 0 ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೆ. And just now this stored procedure modified that, and he soft deleted that particular course in this case. ಸೊ ಈಗ ನಂಗೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಡಿಲೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನಾ ಮತ್ತದು ಅಪ್ಡೇಟ್ TBL MST ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಸೆಟ್ ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ ಡಿಲೀಟ್ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಟು 1 ವೇರ್ ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ನೇಮ್ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಟು ಅಟ್ ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ವೇರ್ ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ನೇಮ್ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಟು MSc ಅಷ್ಟು ಕಾಂಪ್ಲಿಕೇಟೆಡ್ ಬರೆಯೋದು ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ವಾಟ್ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಡೂ ಇಸ್ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಕಾಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಟ್ sp delete MST course name equal to, say I will take BSc, just change one line and execute this. The query is executed, retrieve this. Now you can see there is no MCA course and there is no BCA course. So ಹಿಂಗಾಗಿ ಪ್ರತಿ ಸರ್ತಿ ಅದು ನೀವು ಅಷ್ಟು ಲೆಂದಿ ಕ್ವೆರಿ ಬರೆಯೋದು ಬೇಕಾಗಲ್ಲ once you create a stored procedure in this case. Okay, so this is how we delete. The soft delete method is what we have used in this case. Okay, ಈಗ next. I hope the deleting soft delete concept is clear for everyone. If you have not understood this, tell me, because ನೀವು ನಾಳೆ ಲೈವ್ ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಏನೇ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು it will always be in the stored procedures. Without stored procedures you should never write the queries. ಬರ್ದ್ರಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ hacking is very easy for your database. ನಿಮ್ದು ಡೇಟಾಬೇಸ್ನಾಗ you can easily hack the data if you don't write the stored procedure concept in this case. So I hope both the stored procedure concept is clear, how to retrieve the data and how to delete the data in this case. Okay, so there is no doubt in this. Now anyone has a doubt?
We can Dinesh.
Yeah, tell me, Dinesh.
So in this we can use and or condition as well.
Yes, it is like a normal query. ನೀವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಒಳಗೆ ಏನು ಬರೀತೀರಿ, that is actually a normal query which you have written till now. Whatever the queries you have practiced till now, all the queries you put here, ನೀವು ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಕೊಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಮೆಥಡ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗ್ತದ, and since you are putting it inside a procedure, the calling method is different in this. Apart from that, everything that I have explained for all the insert, update, delete and select queries, it remains same. You can make use of the where condition, you can make use of the and condition, or condition, equal to, not equal to, and you can use inner join concept, you can use all the joins, wildcards, everything remains same. Only thing is those queries, instead of calling them directly, we put it inside a procedure and we call the procedure instead of the query in this case. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Yes. Now coming to the third query in this. Now if I want to update the query, ಈಗ update query ಒಳಗೆ ನಂಗೆ ಏನಂತಂದ್ರೆ I want to reverse it, because I have actually soft deleted the MSc and MCA. ನನಗದು ವಾಪಸ್ ತೊಗೊಂಬರ್ಬೇಕಾಗ್ಯದ, ಅಥವಾ ಅಪ್ಡೇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ರಿಟರ್ನ್, ಸೊ ವಿ ನೀಡ್ ನಾಟ್ ಬಾದರ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ದ ಅಪ್ಡೇಟ್ ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್. ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಅ ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಚೇಂಜ್. ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಕ್ವೆರಿ ಬರೆದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಡಿಲೀಟ್ ಬದಲು ಅಪ್ಡೇಟ್ ಅಂತ ಬರೆದು ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ ಡಿಲೀಟ್ 1 ಅಂತನೋ ಬದಲು ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸೆಟ್ ಟು ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ ಡಿಲೀಟ್ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಟು 0 ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್. ನಾವು ಲೆಟ್ ಅಸ್ ಇನ್ಸರ್ಟ್ ದ ಡೇಟಾ ಇನ್ಸೈಡ್ ದಿಸ್ using a stored procedure. Okay, So insert ಮಾಡೋದು is very interesting and important in this. Now to insert the query, again the same, create procedure, name of the procedure, so it is sp underscore, I'll use ins for insert, underscore mst course, and then next line naga I have to use the parameters to be passed in this, because ಈಗ insert query execute ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ you are passing the parameters inside the bracket. The same way here also we have to perform the same operation. Here we have to put brackets, that is simple brackets, and inside this we have to declare the variables for passing the value. ಈಗ ಏನೇನು parameters ನಾವು pass ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, for that you can just go through the table structure. Say TBL MST course, if I want to insert, course ID is automatic identity, we need not insert. Course name we have to give, soft delete we have to give, and created by we have to pass. So we need to pass 3 parameters in this. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಆ 3 parameters ಗೆ 3 variables declare ಮಾಡ್ಕೊರಿ. Like first one is at symbol followed by course name and space ಕೊಟ್ಟು data type of that particular column, in this case that is varchar of 50, separated by comma. Next I need to give the soft delete at soft delete, and it is int, so data type is int, comma. Next again at symbol followed by created by varchar of 50. So now ಏನು ಮಾಡಿದೆ, ಆ ಬ್ರಾಕೆಟ್ ಒಳಗೆ I have declared 3 variables, because ಯಾವಾಗ ಈ ಸ್ಟೋರ್ ಪ್ರೊಸೀಜರ್ ಪ್ಯಾರಾಮೀಟರ್ಸ್ ಪಾಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಆ ಪ್ಯಾರಾಮೀಟರ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ದೋಸ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಸ್ಟ್ ಬಿ ಕಾಪಿಡ್ ಇನ್ಸೈಡ್ ದೀಸ್ ವೇರಿಯೇಬಲ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಅದರ ಸಲುವಾಗ I have declared 3 separate variables in this case. And now after this, as keyword, next write the insert query. So insert into TBL MST course bracket open. ನೀವು ಯಾವ ಕಾಲಮ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಮೆನ್ಷನ್ ದ ನೇಮ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಕಾಲಮ್ಸ್ ಫಸ್ಟ್, course name, comma, soft delete, comma, created by. I am passing these 3 values. So next values, again bracket open. ಈಗ ಇವು 3 attributes ಏನವ, ಆ attributes ವೇರಿಯೇಬಲ್ಸ್ ಪಾಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, that are here in this case. So at course name, comma, at soft delete, comma, at created by. So I am passing those values terminated by semicolon. Next copy this and let us execute the stored procedure. So let me take a new query window, paste it, select it, first ondsati compile ಮಾಡ್ಕೊರಿ, there is no error, execute it, and the stored procedure is created. ಈಗ ಸರ್ ಹೌ ಟು ಕಾಲ್ ದ ಸ್ಟೋರ್ಡ್ ಪ್ರೊಸೀಜರ್, ಈಗ ನೀವು ಮೊದಲು ಇನ್ಸರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಇಷ್ಟು ಪೂರ ಬರೀಬೇಕಾಗ್ತಿತ್ತು. ನೌ ಇಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಬೀನ್ ಸಿಂಪ್ಲಿಫೈಡ್. ಹೌ ಇಟ್ is simplified? It is exec, call the stored procedure name, that is sp underscore we have ins underscore mst course. Okay, space ಕೊಟ್ಟು you have to mention the name of the variable, that is at course name equal to single quotation naga which is a course name you want to add. Say I want to add BBA. Again after this, separated by comma, the second attribute is at soft delete, soft delete, soft delete equal to, the value is numeric value, so direct 0 and pass ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, comma. Next is at at created by equal to varchar nagada, so it is principal. I'll keep the same value, and that's it. ಇಷ್ಟು ತಗೋರಿ, select ಮಾಡ್ಕೊರಿ, compile this, no error, execute this, one row affected in this case. Sir, ಇದು insert ಆಗಿದ್ದು ನಾ ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. You know how to check it in this. You have exec sp underscore it is get underscore mst course. So I have a stored procedure for this. Select madre, and now you can see there is one course added, BBA, in this. ಸೊ ಈ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ ನಂಗೆ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಇನ್ಸರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಇನ್ಸರ್ಟ್ ಇಂಟು ಟೇಬಲ್ ನೇಮ್ ಅದು ಏನೂ ತಲೆ ಕೆಡ್ಸ್ಕೋದು ಬೇಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಕಾಲ್ ದಿಸ್ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಪ್ರೊಸೀಜರ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಗಿವ್ ದ ನೇಮ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ವೇರಿಯಬಲ್ equal to whatever the value you want, and again the same another attribute name and value, again another attribute name and then value in this. So ಇದು actually ಸರ್ ನೀವು ಅನ್ಬೋದು ಸರ್ ಇದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಇನ್ಸರ್ಟ್ ಕ್ವೆರಿ ಇಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಈಸಿ. ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಈಸಿ ನೌ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ದೆರ್ ಆರ್ ವೆರಿ ಫ್ಯೂ ಆಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಟ್ಸ್. ಯಾವಾಗ ನೀವು ರಿಯಲ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಬರೀತೀರಿ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಹ್ಯಾವಿಂಗ್ ಅರೌಂಡ್ 10 to 15 ಆಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಟ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ರೈಟಿಂಗ್ ಅ ಇನ್ಸರ್ಟ್ ಕ್ವೆರಿ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿಕಮ್ ಅ ಬಿಗ್ಗೆಸ್ಟ್ ಹೆಡ್ಡೇಕ್. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವೇನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಟು ರೆಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ದಿಸ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ರೈಟಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ಸರ್ಟ್ ಇಂಟು ಟೇಬಲ್ ನೇಮ್ ಬರೆದು ಆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಾಲಮ್ ನೇಮ್ಸ್ ಬರೆದು ಆಮೇಲೆ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಅಂತ ಬರೆದು ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಕೊಡೋ ಬದಲು ವಿ ಆರ್ ರೈಟಿಂಗ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ದಿಸ್ ಮಚ್ ಫಾಲೋಡ್ ಬೈ ದ ವೇರಿಯಬಲ್ ನೇಮ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದ attribute value in this case. ಸೊ ಈ ರೀತಿಯೊಳಗೆ ಈಗ ನಂಗೆ ಮತ್ತೊಂದು ಡೇಟಾ ಇನ್ಸರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗ್ಯದ. ಐ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ನೀಡ್ ಟು ಮೇಕ್ ಮಾಡಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ ಹಿಯರ್ ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್. ಸೇ ಐ ವಾಂಟ್ ಟು ಇನ್ಸರ್ಟ್ ಒನ್ ಮೋರ್ ಕೋರ್ಸ್ arc. That is we'll take B-arc first in this case, B architecture ಅಂತೇಳಿ. ಸೊ execute, that's it. So one value change ಮಾಡಿದೆ, the data got inserted. I want to retrieve the data, again execute, I retrieved the data. Of course if BBA is disconnected in this, we discontinued, we don't use BBA now. So adaka exec I will say sp underscore del underscore mst course at course name equal to BBA. So I want to delete that particular course, execute ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, the course is deleted. To check whether the course is deleted or not, execute this. Yes, you cannot see BBA. ಈ ರೀತಿಯೊಳಗೆ just ಒಂದು simple statement, select star from TBL MST course where soft delete equal to 0, not required. I am just making use of a very small statement to execute the queries, and I am telling you this very clearly that compulsory all the queries whatever you have practiced, and naale when you create an application which the screenshots I have shared you, they must be written inside the procedure only. ನೀವು ಒಂದು ಟೇಬಲ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಕಂಪಲ್ಸರಿ ಆ ಒಂದು ಟೇಬಲ್ಗೆ ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ದೆರ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ 4 stored procedures, one for update, insert, delete and select in this case. So ಈ ರೀತಿಯ every table will be having 4 stored procedures, and inside those you will be performing all the insert, update, delete and select operations in this. Okay, so any doubt in creating a stored procedure and executing the stored procedure, you can ask.